Have you ever noticed how the most life-changing moments in your existence seem to arrive disguised as coincidences? You're searching for your purpose, struggling with a decision, or desperately needing a breakthrough, and then something happens that's so perfectly timed, so impossibly aligned with your deepest needs, that it takes your breath away. In that moment, you glimpse something profound, that perhaps you're not living in a random universe after all, but in a reality that's actively conspiring to help you become who you're meant to be. What I'm about to share with you will completely transform how you see every single event in your life. Because according to Osho, one of the most revolutionary spiritual teachers of our time, nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, happens by accident. Every synchronicity you experience is actually the universe responding to the vibrational frequency of your consciousness, proving that you live in a reality where thought becomes thing, where inner alignment creates outer manifestation, and where your awareness literally shapes what appears in your world. This isn't wishful thinking or spiritual fantasy. This is quantum manifestation in action, operating through the language of synchronicity. And by the time we finish this journey together, you'll discover the exact 5-step process that masters use to create synchronicities on demand. A technique so powerful that it can literally rewire your reality within days. Let me tell you about Victoria, a software engineer from Austin, who discovered this truth in the most extraordinary way. For 18 months, she'd been visualizing her dream of working for a cutting-edge tech company in Silicon Valley. She had vision boards, daily affirmations, meditation practice, everything the manifestation books recommended. Yet every application resulted in rejection. Her rational mind told her she wasn't qualified enough, wasn't connected enough, wasn't lucky enough. She was ready to give up on her dream entirely. But what Victoria didn't understand was that she was manifesting perfectly. She was just manifesting from the wrong frequency. Every time she visualized her dream job, she felt the gap between where she was and where she wanted to be. Every affirmation reminded her of what she lacked. Her meditation was filled with desperate wanting rather than confident knowing. Then something shifted. Victoria discovered what Osho called existential alignment, and everything changed in ways that will shock you. Instead of focusing on what she lacked, Victoria began embodying the version of herself who already had everything she desired. She started dressing like the confident tech leader she wanted to become. She began speaking about her skills with certainty rather than doubt. Most importantly, she aligned her daily energy with the feeling of already being successful, already being valued, already living her dream. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is something most manifestation teachers never tell you. Within 3 days of this internal shift, 3 extraordinary synchronicities occurred. First, she received an email from a recruiter who'd found her profile through what he called a random search algorithm glitch. But the position was exactly what she'd been visualizing down to the smallest details. The salary, the location, even the company culture matched her vision board perfectly. Second, at a coffee shop that same afternoon, she accidentally grabbed the wrong drink and ended up in conversation with the person whose order she'd taken. That person turned out to be a senior engineer at her dream company. But get this, he mentioned that they were looking for someone with Victoria's exact skill set for a project that hadn't even been publicly announced yet. Third, that evening, her sister called to share an article she'd randomly found about women in tech. The main story featured Victoria's dream company, announcing a new diversity initiative that perfectly matched her background. But here's the kicker. The article had been published 3 months earlier, yet her sister, who worked in marketing, had never seen it before despite it being exactly the type of content she regularly read. Victoria got the job. But more importantly, she discovered something that would change her life forever. When you align your inner frequency with what you desire, the universe doesn't just support you. It actively rearranges itself to match that frequency. Synchronicity isn't luck. It's manifestation made visible through quantum field dynamics. Now, before we go deeper, let me address the elephant in the room. You might be thinking, that sounds too good to be true. If manifestation through synchronicity is real, why isn't everyone doing it successfully? The answer reveals the most crucial insight Osho ever shared about consciousness and reality creation. Most people are unconsciously manifesting all day long. They're just manifesting what they don't want. They focus on problems, worry about lack, rehearse failure, and then wonder why life feels so difficult. They're using the same manifestation mechanism that Victoria used to create her breakthrough, but they're running it in reverse. This is what Osho revealed about the true nature of reality. He understood that consciousness isn't contained within the boundaries of your skull. It's a field that extends far beyond your physical form, interacting with and influencing the quantum fabric of existence itself. When you shift your consciousness, you literally shift the probability patterns of what can occur in your reality. Think about this. Quantum physics has proven that at the subatomic level, particles exist in multiple potential states until they're observed. The act of observation literally collapses the wave function and determines which reality becomes manifest. Your consciousness is that observer, constantly collapsing infinite possibilities into concrete experiences. And synchronicity is simply the universe showing you which possibilities you're unconsciously selecting through the frequency of your awareness. But here's what most people miss about this process. And this is where we're about to dive into something that will revolutionize how you approach manifestation. They think manifestation is about wanting something really badly, repeating affirmations, or creating vision boards. While these tools can be helpful, they're missing the fundamental key that Osho discovered. True manifestation happens when you stop trying to get something from the universe and start becoming someone who naturally attracts what you desire. Victoria's breakthrough didn't happen when she got more desperate or tried harder. It happened when she shifted from the frequency of lack to the frequency of embodiment. She stopped vibrating, "I want this job," and started vibrating, "I am this person." And the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, immediately began reflecting that new frequency back to her through synchronistic events. This is the secret that ancient masters understood, and quantum physics is now confirming. Reality is not fixed. It's fluid, responsive, and deeply connected to the quality of your consciousness. When you truly grasp this, you realize that synchronicity isn't something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you. But wait, there's something even more profound happening here that most people never discover. Osho taught that the universe operates like a vast web of interconnected consciousness, where every thought, emotion, and belief creates ripples that influence the entire field. When you're vibrating fear, doubt, or scarcity, you attract experiences that match those frequencies. But when you align with love, trust, and abundance, you magnetize experiences that reflect those higher vibrations. Now let me share with you the exact process that Victoria used and that you can start using today to create synchronicities in your own life. But first, I need to tell you about Marcus, a struggling artist from Brooklyn, whose story will show you just how powerful this technique can be. Marcus had been painting for 15 years, barely making enough to cover rent, working restaurant jobs to survive. He'd applied to galleries, networked at art shows, posted on social media. Nothing seemed to work. His friends kept telling him to be realistic and find a stable career. But Marcus discovered something that changed everything. He learned what Osho called the 5 frequencies of synchronistic manifestation, a precise method for aligning with the quantum field to create meaningful coincidences on demand. Here's exactly what he did, and what you can do starting today. Frequency 1, present moment anchoring. Every morning, Marcus would spend 15 minutes in what Osho called witnessing meditation, not trying to empty his mind, but becoming intensely aware of the present moment, feeling his breathing, sensing his body, observing his thoughts without judgment. This practice cleared his consciousness of past regrets and future anxieties, creating space for new possibilities to emerge. But here's the crucial part most people miss, and this is what separates successful manifestors from those who struggle. During this meditation, Marcus wouldn't think about what he wanted. Instead, he'd focus on feeling grateful for what was already flowing in his life, the ability to create, the colors he could see, the emotions he could express through art. This gratitude wasn't forced. It was a genuine appreciation that raised his vibration to match what he desired to receive. Frequency 2, identity embodiment. After meditation, Marcus would spend 10 minutes embodying the version of himself who was already a successful artist, not visualizing success, but actually feeling into the confidence, the peace, the creative flow of someone whose art was valued and celebrated. He'd move his body differently, speak to himself differently, make decisions from this elevated identity. The key insight here is that the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you're being. When you embody the identity of someone who already has what you desire, you naturally align with the experiences that match that identity. Frequency 3. Intuitive action alignment. Throughout each day, Marcus became extremely sensitive to spontaneous impulses and hunches. If he felt drawn to visit a particular neighborhood, he'd go. If he had an urge to call someone, he'd call. If he felt inspired to create a specific piece, he'd create it immediately. This is where most people sabotage their manifestations. They get the intuitive guidance, but then their rational mind talks them out of it. That's random, they think. That doesn't make logical sense. But synchronicity operates through the illogical, the spontaneous, the seemingly random connections that reveal deeper patterns. Frequency 4. Symbolic awareness. Marcus trained himself to recognize the language of synchronicity. Repeated numbers, meaningful encounters, books that fell off shelves, conversations he overheard. Everything became potential communication from the universe about his alignment with his desires. But here's the critical distinction. He didn't become desperate for signs or attached to specific meanings. Instead, he maintained a state of curious openness, allowing symbols and synchronicities to guide his next steps without forcing interpretations. Frequency 5. Surrendered expectancy. This was the most challenging frequency for Marcus to master, but also the most powerful. He learned to hold his desires lightly while maintaining complete certainty that the universe was working in his favor. Not attached to specific outcomes, but deeply trusting that whatever showed up was exactly what he needed for his highest evolution. This combination of surrender and expectancy created a magnetic field around Marcus that drew opportunities to him like iron filings to a magnet. So what happened when Marcus applied these 5 frequencies consistently? Within 6 weeks, a woman walked into the restaurant where he was working. She noticed the small sketch he was drawing during his break. Turns out, she was a gallery owner who had been searching for exactly the style of art Marcus created. She'd never eaten at that restaurant before. In fact, she'd been heading somewhere else entirely when she randomly decided to stop in. But that's just the beginning of Marcus's story. And here's where it gets really interesting. 3 months later, Marcus was featured in a group show at her gallery. On opening night, a collector from Los Angeles happened to be in New York visiting family. He normally never attended art openings, but his niece dragged him along. He fell in love with Marcus's work and commissioned a series of paintings for his new hotel. 6 months after that, Marcus quit his restaurant job. Today, 2 years later, his art sells internationally, and he credits those 5 frequencies with completely transforming not just his career, but his entire relationship with how reality works. But here's what makes Marcus's story even more remarkable, and this is something that reveals the true power of synchronistic manifestation. As Marcus's personal life transformed, he noticed that his presence began affecting everyone around him. His girlfriend, who had been stuck in a dead-end marketing job, suddenly received 3 job offers in 1 week. His roommate, who had been single for years, met his future husband at a coffee shop Marcus had recommended. His parents, who had been struggling with their relationship, began communicating better after spending time with Marcus. This phenomenon reveals one of Osho's most profound insights. When you master synchronistic manifestation, you don't just change your own reality. You become a catalyst for positive synchronicities in the lives of everyone you encounter. Why does this happen? Because consciousness is not individual, it's collective. When you align with higher frequencies, you create what physicists call a coherence field around yourself. Others who enter this field naturally begin resonating with higher possibilities in their own lives. This is why Osho taught that enlightenment isn't just a personal achievement. It's a gift to existence itself. When you awaken to your true nature as conscious awareness, when you master the art of intentional manifestation, When you live in constant synchronicity with life, you become a conduit for the universe to know and express itself more fully through physical reality. Now, I want to share something with you that most spiritual teachers won't tell you, but it's absolutely crucial for your success with these techniques. Living synchronistically isn't always comfortable. When you align with your highest possibilities, the universe will often disrupt your comfortable patterns to create space for something greater. You might lose relationships that no longer serve your growth. You might be guided away from situations that feel secure but limit your potential. You might find yourself in temporary chaos as old structures dissolve to make room for new ones. This is what Osho called creative destruction, the universe's way of clearing away everything that's not aligned with your authentic path, so that what truly belongs in your life can find you. Let me tell you about Isabella, a corporate lawyer from Chicago, who learned this lesson in the most unexpected way. Isabella had been practicing the 5 frequencies for 3 months, focusing on manifesting more fulfilling work that would use her legal skills to help people rather than just generate profits for corporations. She was expecting opportunities in public interest law or maybe a position with a non-profit organization. Instead, she was laid off from her high-paying firm due to budget restructuring. At first, she felt devastated. Had she manifested wrong? Was the universe punishing her for wanting something different? But here's where Isabella discovered something profound about how synchronicity really works. 2 days after losing her job, she received a call from her college roommate, whom she hadn't spoken to in 5 years. The roommate had just started a legal aid organization for immigrants and desperately needed someone with Isabella's corporate experience to help structure the organization and secure funding. The salary was half what Isabella had been making, but the work was exactly what her soul had been craving. But the synchronicities didn't stop there. Isabella's former law firm, feeling guilty about the layoffs, offered to provide pro bono support for Isabella's new organization. The corporate connections she'd built over years became invaluable resources for fundraising. The skills she'd developed in high-pressure environments proved perfect for the challenges of non-profit work. What initially looked like a setback was actually the universe orchestrating the perfect transition into Isabella's authentic path. But she could only see this in retrospect, after trusting the process through the uncertainty. This reveals one of the most important principles of synchronistic manifestation. The universe's timeline is often different from your ego's timeline, but it's always perfect for your soul's evolution. Now let me share with you the most advanced technique for working with synchronicity, something that Osho reserved for his most dedicated students, but which I believe everyone who's ready should have access to. It's called quantum intention setting, and it works by bypassing the rational mind entirely to communicate directly with the field of infinite possibilities. Here's how it works. Instead of setting intentions with your thinking mind, you learn to set intentions from pure awareness itself. You drop into the deepest level of meditation, beyond thoughts, beyond emotions, beyond the sense of being a separate individual. From this space of unity consciousness, you simply know what you desire as if it's already accomplished fact. There's no wanting, no hoping, no trying to make something happen. There's just the pure knowing that what serves your highest good and the greatest good of all is already unfolding perfectly. From this state, you don't create intentions, you discover them. You realize what the universe is already conspiring to manifest through you. When you operate from this level, synchronicities don't just increase, they become the natural fabric of your existence. You find yourself consistently in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, receiving the right information, being guided toward opportunities that perfectly match your soul's purpose. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of quantum intention setting is that it eliminates the struggle from manifestation entirely. You're no longer trying to get something from the universe. You're collaborating with the universe to express its infinite creativity through your unique form. This brings us to something absolutely crucial that I need to share with you. And this might be the most important thing you'll hear today. Everything I've been sharing with you isn't just theory or philosophy. It's practical technology for reality creation that you can start using immediately. But there's one key that determines whether these techniques will work for you or remain just interesting concepts. That key is embodied practice. You can understand synchronicity intellectually. You can believe in manifestation philosophically. You can even experience occasional coincidences that seem meaningful. But until you consistently embody the frequencies I've shared with you, until you make these practices as natural as breathing, until you live from the knowing that you are a conscious co-creator of reality, nothing will fundamentally change. This is why Osho emphasized that spirituality must be lived, not just studied. You can read about quantum physics for years without experiencing its implications. You can learn about manifestation for decades without manifesting consistently. But the moment you begin embodying these principles, the moment you start practicing the 5 frequencies daily, the moment you align your consciousness with your deepest desires, synchronicity becomes as natural as your heartbeat. And here's something that will probably surprise you. The biggest obstacle to living synchronistically isn't lack of knowledge or technique. It's the fear of your own power. Deep down, most people are terrified of discovering that they actually can create their reality consciously. Because if you can manifest what you want, that means you're also responsible for what you've been manifesting unconsciously. It means you can no longer blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for your experiences. But here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you fully accept responsibility for your reality, you simultaneously discover that you don't have to carry that responsibility alone. When you stop fighting existence, existence starts supporting you in ways that seem miraculous from the outside, but feel completely natural from the inside. This support doesn't come as external interventions that override natural laws. It comes as enhanced intuition that guides you toward perfect timing. It comes as increased sensitivity to the subtle cues that reveal which actions will be most effective. It comes as a natural magnetism that draws the right people and opportunities into your orbit. Let me tell you about David, a musician from Nashville, who discovered this truth in a way that changed not just his career, but his entire understanding of how life works. David had been struggling to make it in the music industry for 12 years. He'd written hundreds of songs, played countless gigs, sent demos to every label and producer he could find. Despite obvious talent, nothing seemed to break through. He was beginning to consider giving up music entirely when he discovered the synchronistic approach to manifestation. Instead of trying harder to make his career happen, David decided to experiment with complete surrender to the intelligence of existence. He continued writing and playing, but instead of forcing outcomes, he focused on aligning with the joy and creativity that had originally drawn him to music. Something shifted immediately. Within a week, David was approached by another musician at a coffee shop who had overheard him humming a melody. This musician turned out to be working with a producer who was looking for exactly the style of songwriter David was. But here's the interesting part. David had been to that coffee shop hundreds of times before, but had never been approached by anyone. The collaboration led to David co-writing songs that ended up on a Grammy-nominated album. But more importantly, David discovered that when he aligned with authentic expression rather than commercial success, opportunities began flowing to him effortlessly. The key insight David gained is that the universe doesn't necessarily give you what you think you want. It gives you what serves your highest evolution and allows you to contribute your unique gifts most fully. This brings us to perhaps the most profound aspect of synchronistic living. It reveals that what you truly desire isn't actually things or achievements. It's the experience of being fully alive, fully creative, fully expressed, fully connected to the source of all existence. When you align with this deeper desire, external manifestations become expressions of inner fulfillment rather than attempts to fill inner emptiness. You create from wholeness rather than from lack, and everything you manifest carries the frequency of that wholeness. Now, I want to address something that might be stirring in your awareness as you absorb these insights. You might be feeling excited about the possibilities, but also wondering if you're really capable of living this way. You might be thinking about past failures, current limitations, or reasons why this might work for others, but not for you. Let me be absolutely clear about something. Your capacity to live synchronistically has nothing to do with your background, your education, your current circumstances, or your past experiences with manifestation. It has everything to do with your willingness to surrender the story of who you think you are and discover who you actually are. Every person I've shared with you, Victoria, Marcus, Isabella, David, had moments of doubt, periods of struggle, times when nothing seemed to be working. The difference isn't that they were more gifted or fortunate than you. The difference is that they committed to the practice regardless of immediate results. They trusted the process even when they couldn't see evidence of progress. This commitment isn't about blind faith or positive thinking. It's about recognizing that your consciousness is the most powerful creative force in your personal universe, and that aligning with this force is your birthright, not some special privilege reserved for a chosen few. The truth is, you've been creating your reality through consciousness your entire life. You just haven't been doing it deliberately. Every belief you hold, every emotion you regularly experience, every story you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible, all of this has been shaping your experience through the same mechanisms we've been exploring. The only difference between unconscious creation and synchronistic manifestation is awareness and intention. When you become conscious of how your inner state influences your outer experience, when you learn to align with higher frequencies deliberately, when you practice the 5 frequencies consistently, you simply start getting results that match your conscious intentions rather than your unconscious patterns. But here's something crucial I need to emphasize. This isn't about perfection. You don't need to maintain perfect thoughts or feel positive all the time. The universe doesn't expect you to be a flawless manifester. It responds to your overall frequency, your predominant patterns, your sincere intention to align with your highest good. Even masters like Osho experienced challenges, faced obstacles, and had to navigate difficult circumstances. The difference is that they used every experience, pleasant and unpleasant, as information about their consciousness and opportunities for greater alignment. This brings us to the final and most important insight I want to share with you today, something that ties together everything we've explored and points toward the ultimate purpose of synchronistic living. You're not just learning these techniques to get better stuff or improve your circumstances, although those benefits will naturally occur. You're learning to live synchronistically because this is how you awaken to your true nature as consciousness itself. Every meaningful coincidence, every perfect timing, every manifestation that seems to appear out of nowhere, they're all reminders that you are not separate from the creative force of the universe. You are that creative force, expressing itself through the particular form and perspective that you call your life. When you live synchronistically, you're not manipulating reality from the outside. You're allowing reality to express its infinite creativity through you. This recognition transforms everything. Work becomes play when you're doing what existence wants to do through you. Relationships become opportunities for mutual awakening rather than transactions for getting your needs met. Challenges become invitations to discover new levels of creativity and resilience. Even the concept of death loses its sting when you realize that what you truly are, this awareness that recognizes synchronicity, this consciousness that creates reality, is the same awareness that has been evolving through countless forms since the beginning of time. You're not a temporary visitor to this universe. You're how the universe knows and expresses itself. Living from this recognition doesn't require you to become someone different than who you are. It requires you to discover who you actually are beneath the layers of conditioning, limiting beliefs, and false identities that have obscured your true nature. And the beautiful thing is, every synchronicity you experience is both a step in this discovery process and confirmation that you're remembering your authentic identity as conscious awareness itself. This is why I want to leave you with the most practical and powerful practice you can engage with, starting immediately. It combines all 5 frequencies we explored into a single, integrated approach to synchronistic living. Every morning before engaging with the external world, spend 20 minutes in what I call consciousness calibration. Begin with 5 minutes of present moment awareness, not trying to change anything, just witnessing what's actually happening in your experience right now. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, sounds, all of it arising and passing away in the space of your awareness. Then spend 5 minutes embodying the version of yourself who is already living your desired reality. Not visualizing it, but actually feeling into the confidence, peace, gratitude, and excitement of already being who you want to be. Let your body posture shift, let your breathing change, let yourself move from this elevated identity. Next, spend 5 minutes setting intentions not from your thinking mind, but from the space of pure knowing. Drop deeper than thoughts and emotions into the quiet intelligence that knows what serves your highest good. From this space, simply acknowledge what you're ready to manifest, not as something you lack, but as something that's already emerging through you. Finally, spend 5 minutes in what Osho called total availability. Open yourself completely to whatever the universe wants to express through you today. Release any attachment to specific outcomes and make yourself available to synchronicities, opportunities, and experiences that you might not have imagined, but that perfectly serve your evolution. Then, throughout your day, remain alert for the universe's response. Follow your intuitive impulses, notice meaningful coincidences, act on spontaneous inspirations, trust that everything unfolding is exactly what you need to continue expanding into your fullest potential. If you practice this consistently for even 30 days, I guarantee that your relationship with reality will transform in ways that will amaze you. Not because you're doing anything magical, but because you're finally aligning with how existence actually works when you're not interfering with its natural creativity. But remember, the goal isn't to become a perfect manifester or to control every aspect of your experience. The goal is to discover the joy, freedom, and creative fulfillment that emerge naturally when you live as what you truly are. Infinite awareness expressing itself through the unique form of your individual existence. Every synchronicity you experience from now on isn't just a sign that your manifestation techniques are working. It's existence celebrating the fact that you're remembering who you really are and allowing that truth to express itself more fully through your life. Share in the comments below one synchronicity that completely changed your life's trajectory. What were you embodying energetically when it occurred? How did it confirm that you're living in a responsive universe? Your story could be the exact catalyst someone else needs to step fully into their own synchronistic manifestation power. The universe is always speaking to those who know how to listen. Now you're one of them.